Oh, hey, how are you today? Coming at you with nutrition tip number 2. So today's nutrition tip is all about sugar. Sugar goes by so many different names. If you have ever looked at ingredient lists for different food items or processed foods or natural foods, you'll see that sugar is on there, but it comes in forms of so many different names. So it can be kind of confusing when you're looking at the ingredient list. So I wanted to just share a little bit about that with you today. So, natural sugar occurs in all kinds of different things, like when you have something with fruit in it and you're looking at the list and you're like, oh, all of a sudden, like, why is there sugar on there? But it's not in the ingredient list. Well, that's why, because fruit obviously has natural sugars. Same with things like tomato sauce or tomatoes. It could be sugar might not be listed on the tomato sauce, but you'll see that it has like 3 grams of sugar. That is why, because natural foods have natural sugars in them, like fruits and veggies, right? So you need to be aware of things that have added sugar in it, though. So the things on the ingredient list, like some tomato sauces do have added sugar, and you're like, what the heck? Like you're reading the list and it can come in, like I said, in so many different names that you might not know that there's sugar in there. So here's a sneaky one. If you don't know about it, ketchup. Ketchup is loaded with sugar. It has, for every 1 tablespoon of ketchup, there's a teaspoon of sugar in it. So that's kind of mind-blowing if you didn't know that. When you think about like per serving, so if you break that down, say something has 12 grams of sugar per serving, you're actually getting 4, you divide it by 3, I think, and you get 4 teaspoons of sugar in that 1 serving. So like that really adds up, and it can be challenging to get rid of sugar in your diet. Like if that's something that you're trying, to bring down or to eliminate, because it does cause so many health, concerns. It's really a big problem when you think about like juice or soda and how much sugar is in those things. My son came home yesterday from school, or the day before, and he said that they had actually done a comparison on, which is so amazing. They did a comparison on some different products within their classroom, and so he got bubbly, which has 0 sugar, which is amazing. It's like flavored carbonated water, and he was telling me all about what the different kids got, and that juice was so high, and it was just such a good learning experience for them. And that root beer was the highest, with like 42 grams of sugar in 1 can of root beer. So it's important to teach our kids about this, but it's also important to be aware of it ourselves and teach ourselves about these empty calories that we consume. So when you're having that juice, or you're giving your kids juice, I actually personally don't give my kids juice that often, because again, it's just an empty calorie. Like, yes, they get all sugared up from it, but also with pop and with those types of things, you're just consuming those extra calories when you could be having something, maybe it's your treat, but also just be really, really mindful of that spike in your sugar level, your insulin levels, because that can lead to obesity, to headaches, to brain fog, moodiness. Like when your insulin levels go up, your whole body goes into like this kind of shock from that sugar. And you've seen it, you've felt it. You've seen it in kids where they, like if my son has ice cream, there's something about the combination of the dairy and the sugar in that, and he just goes off the deep end. So we really, really limit how much ice cream that kid has. And if you are a soda drinker, there are things on the market like Zevia. It's like a carbonated soda style beverage. It tastes like soda, but it's sweetened with stevia. It's flavored, so you can get different things. Or like SodaStream. I know one of the girls mentioned about Soda Streams, and like that's an incredible way to feel that carbonation without having all that added sugar. So me personally, I have been drinking a lot more carbonated water and just adding little things in there, because it feels like my vice, which is beer. So honestly, like the calories in beer, and maybe not a lot of sugar, but the calorie consumption from that has really, I've really felt that over time. So my challenge for you is to cut back a little bit of your sugar consumption today or this week, and just see how those small changes, again, add that water in from nutrition tip number 1, and then cut back a little bit on the sugar, and see just how you feel over this week by doing adding these couple of little things into your routine. So say you have, like, even if you can cut back, say you have like a chocolate bar after lunch, like every day, like that's your thing. Maybe try to have half, or if you can eliminate it completely, right? Have half, or try to eliminate it completely, and just see how different you might feel. Maybe you don't get that sugar crash or that foggy feeling after lunch, and it will kind of all add up over time. It might, you might not think that these are big changes, and they aren't, but over time they will add up. And when you're thinking about your food and the things that you're looking for when you're buying things, the more processed the food is, likely the more sugar will be in it. So there are lots of hidden names, like I said, and those come in the forms of like sucralose, cane sugar, fructose, fruit juice, sucrose, maltose, like all the toses. They're likely added sugars. So when you are looking for things, look in the more, you can always look for some things with less ingredients, things that you can pronounce, and then the closer that the sugar is to the very first ingredient on the list, the more of it that's in it, right? Like when you're reading ingredients, the closer to the beginning, like that's the most. So if it's tomato sauce, tomatoes should be number 1. So I hope that is helpful. I hope that you can maybe do some swaps at home, maybe make your tomato sauce because you don't have to add the added sugar, if that makes sense, and just try to see what things that you can eliminate or swap out. If you're looking for alternatives that have less sugar, sometimes the natural food section might have things like the Zevia or alternatives to soda drinks. But just, again, be really mindful and just be conscious of the sugar that you're intaking today and this week. And that's part of my challenge and nutrition tip number 2 for you. Thanks for listening.